Hey guys, Chris Lengyel with Chris Lengyel Magic. Welcome to the Magician with a Microphone podcast. You know, after 20-something podcasts, you would think I'd have like intro music or something, but I don't want to get flagged. Maybe I'll figure out intro music. I don't know. I might have a song I can use for intro music. Who knows? Today is going to be a really special podcast. We're going to actually have Rich DiCarlo, the president and the owner of the Valley Arts Council, the guy who owns the Main Street Gallery, where I do all of my podcasts. He's going to be on today. We're going to be talking about art. We're going to be talking about his experiences in life. Hopefully it'll be a good podcast that you guys will enjoy, and I know it will be because Rich is just a very, very smart, well-educated, well-experienced, wise person. I think that's the best way I can describe him. He's very wise. He's got decades of experience in the art business and the illustration business. He's run multiple galleries. He's done things for groups like Depeche Mode. He's been on television a couple of times with his art. Sold all over the world. So I'm looking forward to that conversation today, and hopefully if he decides to, and I basically told him it's up to him, if he wants to come back next week and record another podcast and talk about the other thing I want him to talk about, which I've been begging him to do, then he'll be on again next week. But, that's only on his decision. But I consider Rich, I have two friends where I consider them to be human ASMR. My friend Rich and my friend Greg Dwyer, who was a motivational speaker, minister, former illusionist, and he has a podcast called The Diamond Mind Radio Show. It's on Building Fortunes Radio. You guys can go and check that out. He does every Sunday at 5:30, I believe. And his voice is like ASMR, but he also has very insightful podcasts. He talks about, finding your inner peace, setting goals, talks about his travel. He's a bunch of stuff, but he's got guests on every once in a while. I've been on his show before. So if you ever get the chance, go check him out. Greg Dwyer, Diamond Mind Radio Show on Building Fortunes Radio. So he's very fun to listen to, but I consider him and Rich to be like human ASMR. I can listen to them talk all day, and I'm very, very excited to have Rich, and he's going to be on in a little bit. Really quick, I just want to talk about the tour that I'm doing and some upcoming events that I've got. I'm going on tour the end of the year. I'm starting in October. I'm actually trying to push it into September because, hey, why not? I've got nothing the fuck to do. Unless I get all of these fairs and festivals that I'm hoping to book. And I'm starting to book those. I've already booked the Terryville Festival. It's like a country fair. I've booked the Milford. No, not Milford. I'm working on the Milford duck race. I'm working on the Naugatuck duck race, which might be a go. I just have to wait for the confirmation. And a plethora of other things, too, that I've marketed to. And I'm on top of all the private events and corporate events that my postcards have gotten me because, hey, I didn't expect that shit to work. But it did. It did. It got me gigs. I got 5 gigs booked already out of that shit. I did not expect. I thought it was going to be a crapshoot. I was literally choosing neighborhoods at random, and I already got I got a call yesterday. Hey, are you the guy who mailed the postcard to me? Yeah. What are your rates? And then we started talking about rates, and I told the woman, I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I thought you were going to yell at me. I thought you were going to bitch me out because you didn't want unsolicited, postcards and shit. Nope. Already got books. Already got gigs. So, and I have also started booking for CT golf reviews. Because I still review golf courses, and I still review, I go out to golf courses and I play golf and I film myself playing and I review them. I talk about my experience. So on the bottom of some of the postcards that I had targeted specifically towards golf courses, it says, be a part of CT Golf Reviews on YouTube. And a couple of the courses, they called me up. They're like, hey, what's this all about? I'm like, well, if you book me for a show and you let me come back and play golf on your course and film it for my review channel, I give you $100 off. And I've already got 2 courses that have agreed. They're like, okay, cool. We've got an event coming up, so-and-so. So I'm not going to put details out. But, hey, they're working. I was talking to a friend of mine, Dave Riley, yesterday. He's a comedian, one of the funniest comedians I ever heard, and it's hysterical because I hated him for a long time. And I'm not going to get into the reasons why, but him and I brushed a lot of shit under the rug, and we're friends now. He's very, very resourceful, very insightful, one of the smartest entertainers I've ever met when it comes to business. Knows what he's doing. He's sold out thousands and thousands of seats for theaters and benefits and banquets and all over the country. And he was actually telling me, because he saw that I posted something on Facebook about it. He's like, "Yeah, you realize it's like shooting, it's like shooting a BB gun into an ocean and expecting to kill a shark." He's like, "The BB isn't going to do enough damage, and the shark is way too big to kill." And he's like, "I don't think you're going to get anything out of it." And I was like, you might be right, but it is a crapshoot." But he was telling me about some of his marketing tips and techniques and stuff and things that I've fucked up on in the past, that he's fucked up on in the past. And he's hopefully going to be helping me with the advertisement for the show that I'm doing at the Gem Room in Naugatuck on June 11th, which is a Saturday. It's going to be a kid show. And, he was talking to me yesterday, and he's like, "Look, if you do shows for kids, embrace that." And it didn't click on me for a while until, I was really thinking about that. You know what? I do adult close-up magic, but I do kids' magic shows. I do magic shows that kids could come and enjoy. And, hey, if the kids want to go, that means the adults are going to go. At first, I wanted to just target myself towards adults, Ideally, I want my show to kind of be like Copperfield's, or like a Vegas show, where everybody comes. Everybody wants to come out and and do come to your show and see you. But Dave was giving me pointers on how to market, so I'm hoping that by advertising this as a kid show, maybe I'll get a bigger audience, maybe I'll get bookings out of it. I'm gonna take his advice. But that's gonna be June 11th. At the Gem Room at the Entertainment Center in Naugatuck. If you guys are around, Sauce, if you're up here by that time, come up and see me. So, I've got some festivals booked. I've got private gigs booked. I've got theaters booked, and I'm booking more as we speak. I'm literally waiting for some emails to get back so I can get all this shit booked. And let's see, how are we on time? I want to be able to get Rich in on this podcast. Okay, yeah, so we'll bring him in within the 10-minute mark. Figure I'll have him on for maybe a half hour or so, or maybe an hour, depending on how long he wants to talk for. I don't care. I don't have a limit. So, what else was I going to say? I had something in my head, and I completely lost it. I don't know. I'm investing in this tour. I'm investing in new tricks, and if you want to see the new tricks, bro, you got to come out and see me. It's the only way. And I got to be confident about the show. I'm excited for it. So, come out and see me if you guys are ever going to be in the area, or if I'm going to be in your area. Come see me. Feel free. Say hi. We'll chat. We'll talk for a little bit. Come see a great show. I'm excited. I'd love to have you guys. So that's going to be coming up soon. Well, guys, I've got a really awesome guest on right now. I don't know why I just lost my train of thought, because I was just talking about this before, but Rich is here, and we are going to basically just talk about art, talk about, how he got into art, and, maybe we could learn something, be inspired, hear some great stories. So, Rich, thanks for being on.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, so first off, let me ask you this. How exactly, I wouldn't say exactly, but how did you get started in art? And how did it go from where you started to where you are right now?
Well, the journey never changed. It's always been the same. I just got up one day, and when I was little, and I started making art. And I asked, I told my mom, I was 6 years old, I wanted to paint, and I told my mom to get me your paints, I want to paint something. So I painted a still life at 6 years old, and I was able to carry it off pretty good. I still have the painting to this day. It actually looks like a 15 or 16-year-old did it, but I was 6 at the time. And I just, my mother asked, she goes, why do you want to do a still life? And I go, well, isn't that what artists do? So she got me the paints. I painted my still life, and then we got the John Nagy Learn to Draw set. And it went from there. I learned how to do shading and all that stuff from there, and it's just a passion, following a passion from, I guess, birth. We used to draw pictures on torn open brown paper shopping bags, and you tear it open just the right way, and you'll have a nice 3-foot piece of paper, and that and a Bic pen, and I was all set for a whole Saturday afternoon drawing little scenes, dinosaurs, cars, of cityscapes and stuff like that, all on the paper all day. And that, to me, that was fun, and then you get thrown outside to go out and play. But it was a rainy day thing, and it just took control of life.
So when did you start to realize that this is something that you can make money off of and like take it places? Because didn't you say that you were an illustrator at one point in New York City?
I was an illustrator in New York City for God knows how many years, but actually I illustrated my first book, and I think I was hired at like 7 or 8 years old. I did this book called The Dragonfly of Lake Sylvia. So God knows what happened to the book. I tried to find it, and God knows it was ever published, but I got paid. And that was my first paid gig at 7 or 8 years old.
I was just about to ask you what your first paid gig was.
That was it. And I have I have a drawing somewhere from that. Yeah, I have all my old stuff. So, The Dragonfly of Lake Sylvia, if that title's out there, I Google searched it, and every once in a while you look and you never know what will pop up. Then I also did a book, let's say in 7th or 8th grade, More Room to Sing, and then I was contacted by an Irish poetry magazine. I forgot the name of it. I did some illustrations for that as well. So I was like, hey, you can make money doing this. And the money came in slowly but surely, and it was there. But hardly you're not going to get rich on that.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because you are the president of the Valley Arts Council. You've had quite a few galleries that you've run. You're involved with a bunch of galleries around the state. You've sold your art to just about probably every state in the country.
It varies the states. There are a lot of dead states in between.
So how did you go from a hobbyist artist to wanting to open up and get more people involved?
There's actually no differentiation between them now. It's a constant flow. It's ebbs and tide, ebbs and tides. Everything, you get high points and low points. There's no set success rate. So you can be on top of the world in 1 year, 2 days later, boom, you're dead, dead in the water. But the gallery stuff it was an attraction. I just met people, and I just learned how to do business. I was doing portraits, and I put a thing on the wall, and a gallery owner asked for me to do a job for somebody. And then the guy finds out I could do fine art, so I do fine art. So it just, one thing led to the other. So that's the way basically life is. It's a series of chain reactions or links. It's like the 6 steps away from Kevin Bacon kind of thing.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, And actually, there are many levels. I'm only a couple levels away from Kevin Bacon. But, and if you had to go by that.
I believe that, too.
But it's just one of those things. It's all linked together. Somehow it's serendipitous, and just one thing leads to another. But the whole thing is no one's ever going to see you if you sit quiet and just make your art and put it in a drawer. You got to get it out there.
That's true.
If you don't do things for nothing, or you throw in something for somebody, you give them a gift somebody, get it out there, and you never know whose cousin or whose uncle or whose aunt is looking. That leads to something. I've gotten some advertising jobs from giving somebody something, and it was on the wall in the house when Aunt Tessie came in to visit. And Aunt Tessie is an art director at a major agency. So Aunt Tessie hires me, that kind of stuff. That's how it's done. But nobody's going to see you if you don't get out in the world. If you don't talk, you have no voice. You don't show your stuff.
So with that being said, how many people, like, as far as, I wouldn't say people of prominence, but mainstream people, have you gotten jobs under because of that? Because I know you said at one point you worked with, what, Depeche Mode, was it?
Oh, that was from a radio station, but again, a link, and I did a freebie, and I did a freebie for my sister at a concert, and we'd play around in the middle of the night listening to a certain radio station, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you did this. I saw this poster in the crowd. Somebody had this giant banner thing. It was the portrait, and then I got hired to do that. But it was like, it's like, again, you have to be there. They have to see it. Nobody would have seen it. I've been on the roster for a couple of record companies, and you get jobs at minor band, doing stuff for minor bands, album covers or CD covers at the time, for these bands that you never seen before. You never see them on the, but that's how it is. It's a series of little things, and little things lead to the big things, and the big things sometimes you don't make it to the top of the crop with the big things. You stay behind the scenes, but you make the money, so it's serendipitous. One thing, it's the flow thing.
What was the piece that you made that ended up getting Depeche Mode's attention?
Oh, it was a banner. It was a free banner. My sister was a fan. I went to the concerts and stuff, and it's like I couldn't stand.
So it wasn't a job then. It was literally.
No,
just
it started from that. Then I got hired.
Oh,
then they
okay.
contacted me. I got hired through the record company. We won free tickets or something, and how it ended up, I just get the phone call and stuff.
Huh.
So it was just, it was like, hey, you wanna? Yeah, sure.
So another thing that I wanted to bring up, you do your art classes here at the gallery. You've taught art for many years now, but you're also well known. I guess I could say that you're well known for your collection of Fisher-Price, the homage to Fisher-Price. And I mean, if anybody listening to this ever gets the chance to possibly look up the Fisher-Price sculptures and art pieces that Rich has done. I mean, I'm looking at one of them right now. It's the man and the woman with the pitchfork. What is it, American Gothic?
American Gothic. And King Kong.
So yeah, the King Kong one is impressive. But I mean, I've also seen the Mona Lisa. I've seen the Last Supper that you did. What was your inspiration for this particular collection? And I mean, how do you find inspiration for what you do?
Well, first off, they're not. I don't know how famous they are. They sell when I make them. They usually sell. The pieces you see here, for some reason, will sit. The upper end pieces kind of the mainstream pieces will sit for a while. But I don't know how famous they are. But they've been all they sell all over the place. They move countrywide and stuff. But if you Google them, I don't know if they'll pop up. But you have to see them on either the Valley Arts Council Facebook page, the Artfish 42 in Milford. Websites, just the places they sell. And anybody else who wants to, they like them, they post them. But I don't know how, if you call famous. I just go for the sale on those. What they were inspired by was I used to play Fisher-Price, and everybody had them when you were a kid. You all had the Fisher-Price, the little wooden ones I'm talking about, not the mutant ones you see today. The little wooden ones with the round heads. You had the dump trucks with the shapes, the balls and stuff, and each dump truck had a shape. That was my thing I had. And you had to back the dump trucks in. You couldn't drive the dump truck into the triangle or the round one, but, So I guess it was a union thing, early union things with Fisher-Price. But I fell in love with the Fisher-Price toys. We had this circus back in the 1960s. You had the wooden circus, the schoolhouse, the farmhouse, all these little wooden figure things, the little people things. So anyhow, it was about 10 or 15 years ago. I was my car broke down. I had to walk to work. So I'm walk to work, but on the way home, I just happened to see in the garbage somebody throwing out Fisher-Price, a house and a big box of the figures. And I walked by it. Look at somebody's throwing Fisher-Price. Then I walked about a half a block away, and I felt bad for them. I go, who's throwing out childhood? You can't throw childhood out. That's blasphemous. So I actually went back and I got the I took the box and I brought her home to give it some love, so to speak. My wife castigized me for bringing it home. What the hell are you bringing this home for? And I go, it needs love. It's somebody's throwing this out. Goes, well, I'm going to throw it out. And I go, no, I'm going to save it for something. So, sat in the house for a while, and then I had an idea. I had to clean up anyhow, but we were making a bonfire. So I set up the house with everybody in the house, and we put it in the bonfire. Kind of sadistic, but we burnt the house down with all the people in it, and we narrated how they were all dying. You know, popping, smoking his pipe in the attic or whatever, and set the house ablaze. And, you know, little Billy with the dog is in the bedroom. Nobody woke up. So we burnt the house down. But it was something, something messed up like that got me into that. And I was like, boy, you can do something with the rest of the characters. I could have thrown them all in the fire, but that's literally sparked the situation.
Quite literally.
Yeah, and I can't remember the first thing I did was, what did I do? I did my first one I did was Captain Nemo. Captain Nemo. He appeared in Connecticut Magazine, which is surprising. So that was Captain Nemo. So that's why I knew I had something when the magazine put him in there as under one of the Christmas guides, as things to find. So Captain Nemo, I made him. He disappeared. Then I made another one. Disappeared. I did. What did I do? I did a lighthouse with Ernest Hemingway and a kraken knocking the lighthouse down. He's just sitting there calm and cool. So that one disappeared. I did the Yellow Submarine several times, which was a giant piece. Those disappeared. So they were moving, So they sold to big markets too. So it was a positive thing. Right now, currently, I did Silence of the Lambs. I did more. I did Abbey Road, Beatles Abbey Road, all with the Fisher-Price figures.
You did Star Wars.
I did Star Wars. I did American Gothic. I did Last Supper.
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes.
And if I'm not mistaken, that one talked, right?
The new ones talk. I have the Moon Landing. The ones I still have are the Moon Landing. These are talkies. They're up there in price. That's why they're going to last a while. So I have the Moon Landing where you push a button. It has a lunar module and everything, and the astronauts, complete with spacesuits and stuff, handmade spacesuits. And they're talkies. You push the button, they talk. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And the Planet of the Apes is the last scene of the movie, and it's Charlton Heston's monologue of...
He blew it up!
Yep. You blew it to hell!
And the thing that I love about that is just the face that you painted on him, too. It's just hysterical. Well, but it paints the picture perfectly, like... pun intended.
Yeah, they're not just people. I've seen them done with people just use the figures in an image. My thing is the images are the figures are altered,
and it's like some of them move, like Kong over there. Like so, for those because they can't see it, it's literally what would you say, a 4 foot by 4 foot frame?
No, it's a 2 by 2 frame.
King Kong it's a 3D standing on top of the top of the Empire State Building. Kong's got the woman, I forget her name.
Fay Ray.
Yes, Fay Ray in his hand. And if you push the switch on the side, you'll actually see Kong moving around.
Kong will move it. He moves his arms and his head.
But it's the way that it looked in the movie. And, you've got the pictures of the airplanes in the background.
And it's in black and white. 1919 was 1929 or
it's impressive. That's the thing. And it's like a lot of... I never saw the Yellow Submarine in person, but from people that told me about it, they said that not only was it big, but it was... impressive is the way to describe it. So my question is, because you've got so many different themes that you did, how do you find your inspiration for these and your art in general?
It just pops up. It's the mood you're in. You have to surround yourself with the music, the atmosphere, and basically you have a stark atmosphere, but everything comes out of your head. It's just, I'll be doing one piece and then start working on 2 other ones at the same time.
So, like, typically what does your atmosphere look like? If I was to walk in to your studio while you are creating your art, what would it look like?
First of all, you won't even know it's a studio. It looks like a dungeon. It's a dungeon full of art supplies. It's my boiler room, and it's the most unappealing place you'd ever want to hang out, but I just love it. That's where the juices come from. It's a dungeon. You put on dark music, and you make happy stuff. Like I could play Nine Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine, that album, and play that and come up with like 3 or 4 happy things, playing it over and over and over again. But that was it. And no clocks, nothing. The windows are blacked out. You have no essence of time, and you block everything out. And you're basically almost like a creative time travel. Time does not exist in that slot. You just work on things. And
So,
one to another. You flow one to another, one piece to another.
I'm sure you've probably lost track of like days down there. What was the longest you ever sat and worked on a piece?
Actually, Kong. The Kong was the longest, and that was wow, I didn't even know how long it was. That was I'm pretty fast with turnaround, but Kong and then Yellow Submarine, the first Yellow Submarine took a long time. Those are a couple of I would say maybe weeks, but it's like 6 hours here, 4 hours there. Sometimes I do a round the clock and do a 24 hours. I can knock one out, but that's straight through. That depends on the energy. That you don't want to lose that energy and stuff, so you work straight through, and you take meal breaks or bring everything down with you and pick. But I call it a frenzy. You get in a frenzy, and it's like throwing the chum to a shark, and it's like the shark or piranhas, and you just get into the mode, and you don't stop.
So with speaking on that, being in that frenzy and being in that like mindset and everything, not only have you done the Fisher Price and the watercolors, which are amazing, but you've also, and you were featured on television for this, you also used to carve out bricks and make art with bricks. How did that start?
That was started in the galleries in New York City, down in Soho. We did actually it started in Mount Vernon, New York, where I went on my own. And the funny thing is, as I said, one thing leads to another. I posted a caricature page on a wall, little thing, and a gallery owner, didn't know the guy was a gallery owner, wanted a job done for somebody. So I did that, and he saw what I did. And then while I was down there, he invited me down there to kind of work with him, hang out, work with him here and there. So I started working with him in the gallery as a friend, not getting paid, but we would do things like he had the largest gallery in New York City. It was the Objects and Images on Wooster Street. It was actually a block wide. It had one Broadway entrance and a Wooster Street entrance, and it was so large that he divided half into a gallery, this large gallery, and half was let's say an art craft mall. So, but anyhow, I had the gallery in there. Got a good clientele. We'd do stuff from people all over the world and stuff, and large steel sculptures. What happened was one day I was there, and I was helping him put these giant, large sculptures in the windows, and the sculptures were kind of garish and sexual in nature and stuff. They had big penises on them, so the window had a ledge, and you couldn't see the penises and stuff. So the thing is shock value. So he wanted them to be seen. So I went across, I looked and I go, we don't have anything to put these giant statues on, heavy and strong enough. They probably weighed about a couple 100 pounds each. Anyhow, I went across there, I noticed they do a construction, and I go, oh, look, bricks. I go, so I went and I asked for, can I take these bricks? And I took the bricks, and I started making a podium. Now, until you made a podium out of bricks, you're going to respect those people that make walls and stuff. That's a pain in the ass. So I made this podium out of bricks. It was like 3 feet tall and maybe about 4 feet by 4 feet. It was pretty big, a lot of bricks, and it took me a while. So I had them in the window, and then this bus stops by, one of those DATGO buses, and the thing was loaded with Japanese tourists. And they just came in there, and it's like all talking Japanese and stuff, and it's like, oh, look at it, a bunch of people walking in to check the gallery out. So all of a sudden, they just start grabbing my bricks and going to the counter with them. And I would go, hey, get your own bricks. What the hell are you doing? And they kept on taking the bricks. And then the guy, how much? And my friend want to pass out buck. He goes, $20 each. And I go, wow, $20 for stupid bricks? And he must have sold about 60 or 70 bricks there. or whatever, maybe 40. I don't know. I may be remembering wrong, but he sold a lot of bricks, made a lot of money off that. And I decided, asked the one guy to, when they were done, I said, let me at least clean the mortar off the bricks. And I was in cleaning the mortar off the bricks, some of the bricks, I just found out that I guess they were rotten, but I found the screwdriver I was using would go right into the brick and carve like sandstone, but it ends up the brick was rotten, but that gave me an idea. So I did, I put one brick aside. I go, I'm going to do something with this as a goof. Because those bricks are called frogging bricks. The bricks with the images with the name on them, they're called frogs. So I figured, let me do a frog brick with an image in it. I had the idea right there. But anyhow, I asked the person that spoke English, I go, excuse me, let me ask you a question. Why did you buy these bricks? And he goes, we want to take a piece of New York home with us, as he held the brick up to his heart. And I go, wow. I go, that was an idea. That's what gave me the idea to sell the bricks. And I go, I got an idea. We're going to sell these bricks. And I went in the back, and first brick I carved was a cockroach. A little cockroach on a half a brick. And I still have them because I refuse to sell them, even though they've offered me high prices. And it's like, I should have sold the darn thing. But it's just the principle of the matter. The person that wanted to buy it had a lot of money and could buy anything. And it's like, I finally own something that nobody else can have, so I can destroy it, or I control that. So that would give me power over the person. We're still friends to this day, and every once in a while he offers, and I go, no, you're not going to have it. Although I get stupider and stupider as but now it's.
How much has he offered?
It went as high as $5,000. Yeah, so you look at the stupidity.
For a cockroach.
For a cockroach, but it was a matter of But with that $5,000. A person like that doesn't buy your art. He owns your soul.
Yeah, but
that's owning your soul.
The more you refuse to sell it to him, I guess that means that's where the control comes in. I see what you mean. I
have the power. I control my destiny. And I'm totally happy where I am, because you can go on tangents and success and cancel yourself out. Like, for example, we put New York City taxi cab in the bricks. And those are my favorite to make. We ran into a problem. They became so successful that it killed us. And what happened was... It became
so successful that it
killed
you?
Our first order was from Bloomingdale's. They wanted 3,000 bricks. 3,000 bricks at $75 each.
How do you buy that? Like in general, obviously you can't just go to Home Depot and say, hey, I need 3,000 bricks. Like, where did you end up having to get a contract with a place that made them, or?
No, I was initially starting off with scrap bricks.
So you would just find them?
I'd find them.
Oh,
you go and you find them, you soak them in bleach and stuff. But the problem was with finding the bricks, if you found them in the river or you found them in a lot somewhere, they would come in, the house heats up, and after a while it would either smell like the heating oil, swamp from the water, or cat piss. All these lovely smells would come in. They were doing, but some of the early bricks had to be sealed because they would start smelling.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
then they start spalling and everything. They start falling.
Well, that's why we used to boil them, but still, they used to use the flame. Bricks are porous and they would smell. But Bloomingdale's wanted 3,000 of them. And I told them, there's no way I can carve 3,000, because they gave you a time frame. We give you 90 days, you want 3,000 bricks. And I go, how the hell am I going to do that? So I went to this School of Visual Arts, the sculptor department. I talked to sculptors, and I had all these Russian sculptors were available and stuff. I had 15 guys, and it was an internship right off the bat. It was through a college, so it was like they were working for free, but until we start getting everything off the ground, I would have to map everything out, and they would have to follow directions if they spoke English. That was even harder. But we did a test run, and I needed to do a certain amount in a certain amount of time in order to meet in order to see if we can meet the deadline. We had everybody sculpting off their tails for a couple of weekends. I converted my mother's basement in her garage into a workshop. Made jigs and got chisels for everybody and stuff, hammers and stuff, and we couldn't even come close to on numbers that would satisfy Bloomingdale's. And they wanted the numbers, what they ordered. They didn't want to wait for, can we give you a couple hundred here, a couple hundred? No, we want 3,000 bricks for 90 days. Wow. Then we went to, there were two brick factories on the East Coast willing to help us out with the manufacturing of these things. And I found out they can actually stamp the image in the brick. And oh boy, you can stamp the image in a brick, but the machine was you now had to carve the image in reverse on a piece of oak with a Dremel and stuff. And that is so difficult, it would break the Dremels. And then those pieces, the little pieces that were used to stamp the bricks out before they would go in the oven, would shatter. And you'd have to make like 20 or 30 of these. And I could make 20 or 30 bricks faster than I could make one of those wooden pieces. And we had one place in Albany and one place in Georgia that could make the bricks. Went to both places, went to Georgia, went to Albany. They showed us all the thing. They made a couple of samples, which was great, but couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. Even if you had the bricks made, there was the technology and stuff available. It had to be hand painted, and you couldn't hand paint them. Now the killer is you got these machines that can do the carving and the painting, like the ones that make the wheels and stuff. They have machines now, water machines, water jets. They use them on tombstones. The technology
is that how
now.
They do it?
Yeah.
I thought they were still hand carved.
No, they do. It's all laser jet,
geez,
and water
okay.
jet. Yeah, and with rubber, you make rubber masks that will protect the stone.
Oh.
And you could make those 3,000 bricks and stuff like that. Now it could be done, but the technology back then, we're talking late 80s, wasn't there.
So how were you approached by HGTV? Because
they saw the bricks. Actually, they saw the bricks in the gallery out of all places, Derby, Connecticut. Somebody walked through, and then they were walking through, and they saw it. They had a friend, and the friend saw it, and they got in touch with me. Hey, you want to be on TV? Sure. And then I was on the HGTV show, That's Clever.
The mythological kitty.
Mythological kitty. That episode you can still watch on YouTube and stuff, and you see how embarrassing it was.
Yeah, it's on there. So and then that makes me wonder, like, what was the filming process like? Because obviously, I've seen it, and it's definitely not. First off, it's not the way. It doesn't look like the way that you would put.
Oh no, it's nothing. Not even close to the way the bricks are done. But the bricks were not. I did them a phony way as to show I get people to copy me. Because I don't want them to copy me. That's how you give away your trade secrets and stuff. You're gonna have people copying you and underselling you. So I had to protect that. So I did a different process. But the bricks on the TV show is everything's made ahead of time, and you make up, and then you have to make your artwork in separate up to specific stages. A beginning brick, one that's in the middle, one that's 3/4 done, and one that's finished. So what you do is you film up to a certain part. Then it's done. They're already made. The final thing is already made. So you're just making it up to that point. So it's like backtracking with video. I was
going to say. So it sounds like it's basically filmed in reverse. Then
it was filmed almost in reverse, but it was a good 5-6 hour process to do a. I don't even know how long the episode was. 7, 8, 10 minutes, whatever. 7 minutes.
That link will be in the description, by the way, if you guys want to check it out. I'm going to have to dig online to see if I can find it. Who were your influences in art?
Influences in art.
Like, do you have anyone in particular that you looked up to, or did you ever really consider, not really emulating somebody, but kind of, taking after, techniques? Because, in magic, my influences were, David Blaine, Chris Angel, Penn and Teller, guys like that. And in a way, when I was first starting out, I would try to do things like them. And, I'll admit, I used to steal Chris Angel's patter all the time. So when you were getting started and you were trying to find yourself, were you ever in a time where you were trying to emulate other artists to see if that was the road that you wanted to go down?
Never. I never actually set out to copy anybody or an inspiration. I did get that John Nagy set, and I would watch a couple of strangers on TV painting and stuff like that.
John Nagy, for the ones who don't know, he was Bob Ross before Bob Ross. He was a pencil artist or something like that.
Just basic art. Did pencil stuff.
Yeah, he was a couple years before Bob Ross was even a thing.
20 years before Bob Ross. But and you watch Shrinky Dink on TV, and you drew on the TV with Captain Kangaroo, and you had the little screen that went over the TV, and we drew on the TVs with crayon and marker because we didn't have the kit. So these are all things we did. that was those are the inspiration, was whatever was on TV, all the crap that was on TV that you were enticed by on TV. But basically, it was John Nagy. That was the first thing. But the funny thing was, I started finding out what people would think I would be doing. Like, they'd be looking over my shoulder at me drawing something, teachers. And when they were looking over my shoulders at me doing something, like I'd be drawing a boat, or let's say I was drawing a dog or something like that. And the person would be watching me over my shoulder and go, "Hey, you're drawing a dog?" And I go, "What makes you think I'm drawing a dog?" And I turn them into a locomotive or something like that. And it'd be like a hybrid dog locomotive. And then people go, "What the hell is that?" And I was being surreal without being surrealist, without knowing what I was doing. So I was compared to Salvador Dali. So I had that a couple of times. And, and then all of a sudden I started being inspired by that freakiness that I took on by accident or by being playful. I started falling in love with the works of Salvador Dali. And then I went out of the way, and when I was in 7th grade, I saw Dali I saw him in a gallery in New York. They had his art for sale. I didn't meet Dali, but he had his art being represented in a gallery down there, and I bought a hand-signed, I think it was a hand-painted lithograph and autograph from it. The guy signed it, authentic and everything. And I spent like $800 or $900. I said, "Mom, can you buy this for me? And I swear I'll pay you back." And so I have that piece on the wall right now. I still have that piece, but that was my influence, and that was my kind of my muse. But after that, when I was an illustrator, I did my own thing, but I found out that I can do all different styles. So I was hired by being hired by the publishing industry as a chameleon or ghost illustrator. So I would do illustrations and stuff like that for people that didn't finish their contracts. Like, they got tired of dealing with a publisher, and I would come in and do the missing drawings and stuff like that. And that was money like brain surgery money. It was great. And the amount of work they gave you was unbelievable. But you worked. You sat there and you worked. And for a while I was making brain surgery money. Then, it just, then I was finding out when I was doing the work that I started running into Maurice Sendak, which is kind of funny. Maurice Sendak, Where the Wild Things Are. You gave me that look. So Maurice Sendak was there.
I was going to say, I recognized the name and I couldn't figure out.
Yeah, Mr. Maurice Sendak of Where the Wild Things Are. That was the biggest influence in my life, knowing that I found out that I asked the art director to go, "Why is every time just like 3 times I did 3 jobs, and I was working for the phone companies doing the covers and stuff. I wasn't getting Maurice Sendak's money. He got probably 20, 30 million times more than me."
Did you meet him?
Yeah, I met him twice, 3 times maybe. Yeah, 3 times. But we just see each other, and it's like, oh wow. And it's like, I didn't know who he was. An old man at first. Oh my God, that's Maurice Sendak. I didn't know what he looked like. But anyhow, the first time I met him, it's like I found, I guess you're taking over for me with the phone company jobs. And he did they used his Wild Things for the commercials and stuff. Me, I just did phone book covers and stuff like that, and inside stuff. He did everything from the technical stuff up to the advertising stuff. So they licensed him out, his stuff out. I wasn't licensed. I was just straight illustrator. But anyhow, I met him, and that was kind of cool. And then another time I met him at I did another thing for the Hudson Museum. He was at a benefit, and he was sitting at my benefit. I did a benefit, and he did the next one. And he just happened to be sitting at the table, and I was able to show him. I said, "Can I show you my manuscript for a book?" And I did my book. I have to look at the name of it. There's no such things as monsters, where he wrote he wrote a little piece inside the book. And he gave me some pointers and stuff like that. But upon sitting with him, he sat there and I talked to him. I go, "Wow, Where the Wild Things Are. That's my favorite book. Oh, yeah. And he goes, "Did you read the book?" And I go, "Yeah, I read it 1,000,000 times." He goes, "Tell me what it's about." And he goes, "You didn't read the book." I go, "I read the book." And he goes, "You didn't read the book." And he goes, "Nobody reads the book. Everybody looks at the pictures and they know the story, read it, but they don't know what the story is about." And then everybody complained when you saw that bad movie. That bad movie was more about the book than the book. So nobody
I never
realized
saw the movie, but
the movie was horrible, and you can't watch the movie because you think the book comes across as something else. And he goes, "There's a lot of pain in that book," and he go, "Wow, it seemed like yes, the end result is the kid is loved. Max is loved. So mother still loves Max no matter how much a renegade he is. But that kid was, they would have beat the crap out of that kid, and he was such a little wise ass. I'm going to eat you up and stuff like that. He was really nasty with his mom. And yet his mom, he got sent to bed, he got punished, but yet mom still loved him at the end, he was getting exiled, so to speak. So in the end, mom still loved him. That's the whole story. But it's a lot of, let's say, pathos in the book. It's not a happy book.
Yeah, because it's funny, because I remember, my father would read that to me when I was little.
But it's always, probably the most misinterpreted thing. And then he told me, he goes, it's obvious the reason why we were probably running into each other, you have a very similar style to me. And I consider it like an honor. I was like, wow, this is what he's saying. I go, wow, now I see it. And they go, yeah, that's what we do. We test it. We don't want to spend the money and blow a budget on that. So we'll test it on somebody who draws similar, see how it's accepted. And that's why I got into that. But it was kind of cool doing that. He wrote he gave me good pointers, and he wrote my thing inside the book. I got the book in my hand, kind of ironically.
They're available here at the gallery.
Yeah, still got a thing. But he wrote, I don't even know what he wrote my thing. But I haven't looked at the book in a while, but I'm looking at it now. But it's a paperback book, and it was this book was actually sold to Gerard Ferrer and Strauss or something like that, one of these companies, and the art director has his bullpen. I was in the bullpen, and I got paid to do the book and stuff, but the book never came out. And I go, I got paid, but I never got, I want to see the book done. That's the joy of doing the book, So here's the saying. It's not in the book. It's on the thing. But yeah. Maurice Sendak told me about his writing and stuff like that. His writing came from a lot of pain. He passed away, I think, in the 90s or so. But he goes, all his books are written with a lot of pain. So you don't have like comedians and stuff like that. There's a lot of pain behind that. So he had a lot of Holocaust stuff going on and everything, and a very painful, a dark life. But he said to me, he goes, you cannot write books for children. They're more complicated than you think. You can only write books that interest them, something that they can relate to. And then he said about my book, this is a story they can relate to about my book. And I go, I had it. And he also told me, I did a book about girls, and he canceled that one out. He kind of shot that one down. He goes like this. He goes, personally, he goes, a boy will never buy. The book I had was called Jessica's Fortune. I'm gonna probably work on that book and get that one out of one day. And he goes, and Jessica's Fortune has two girls as the lead. And he goes, the problem with this is you got a girl as the main character. And I go, well, what's wrong with that? And he goes, you shot half your market down. And I go, how is that? And he goes, a boy will never buy a book about a girl, but a girl will read a book about a boy. And I go, wow, that's kind of interesting. But that's a kind of put a nail in my coffin. Otherwise, the book would be sitting right next to this book. The book is complete. I just got to redo the illustrations because I lost them. But I'll redo it and stuff. But the technology now and everything, I can do it. But these are self-publishing now. I wanted to go in the real publishing industry where you went there, you sat there, and you had to work for everything. Now you're self-publishing, you're selling things like shoes. I want the struggle. I wanted to deal with the art directors and stuff. That was the fun thing, the struggle. The change this, change that. This guy has 6 fingers. Change it. Because I worked with art directors. They were fun. They would make a direction. You bring it to a direction. They know what they want, and you knew what was going. They knew what the end product would be, and that's this book. There's no such thing as monsters. Has that solidness to it. If you compare it to anybody else's self-publishing book, you'll see it's a little more slicker because it was polished. It was done, And it also won the Society of Illustrators. Not Society Illustrated. Yeah, there's some kind of Society Illustrators that won a prize for best illustrations and stuff like that, like 10 years ago or so. So it's got its little Providence thing going on. But yeah, Maurice Sendak was a great influence, and but I did approach him on the girl thing, and I go, you got really Rosie and things like that. You got all these books about about girls. He goes, yeah, but I'm Maurice Sendak. I can write things. All right, fine. Hey, kudos to you. You win. Touche. So that's, but he was my main influence. And, it's just, again, it's the flow. Life is a flow, as is art. So life imitates art, and you go with the flow.
So with your art now, what goals do you have as far as like where you want to not necessarily take your art, but like what direction you want to go in? Because right now, you've got your art classes that you do, which are a huge hit, the watercolor classes. And, I feel like, one, you're a great teacher and, people really enjoy it. You've got the Fisher Price stuff that you're doing that you've got hanging up in multiple galleries, but what's next? Like, what are you planning anything? Do you have any like ideas on where you want to go next as far as an artistic direction or, anything for the gallery?
Well, I turn the art on and off like a faucet. It doesn't flow. I don't sit there. I don't want the fame and fortune. I never was wanting anybody like that. I never seeked out the money. I mean, it hurts and stuff. I know it's a personality thing. That's not, to me, it's not what success is. Success is making the piece, getting the people's reaction, and having the people talk about it, and then, or you see somebody and challenging them, and you come into the picture and kind of impress them, and you go, "Where'd you come from?" I could always do this. It's just, you turn it on and off. I mean, I never had an issue. I've been on TV 3 or 4 times with the art. It's like, and it's just like, oh, I'm going to be on TV. Let's be on TV. So I can focus on that and just make it happen. So I never had an issue with that. The problem is, my issue is keeping the flame going or wanting to keep the flame going. I get very bored. If I had to do a regular TV show or something, I get tired. And, I may get tired of the teaching. I get tired of Fisher Price. I haven't done a Fisher Price in about 6 months. I just picked up the stuff, and I may start one. I have a Godzilla planned, but that's all predicated on me finding the correct sound box. I can recreate his voice and make the backlighting up. And I am not going to attempt to do it until I have the idea how it's done in my head. And then I'll just do it along with 3 or 4 other pieces probably at the same time. I'm going to do Godzilla, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and I don't know, maybe another piece will come out. But those two are going to be simultaneously built. But that's how it works. It's going to be a frenzy. I'm going to put them next to each other and just go back and forth, back and forth. So that's that. But I mean, as far as goals, never had a goal, even from day one. Day one, I never had a goal in my life. I didn't want to, because I just always had it. I can do it. It's like I never said I can't do anything. I had to have the confidence in something like that. Yeah, it is the highs and the very low points. But the good thing is, if I was out collecting cans on the street, not knowing how I'm going to pay the bill, I would just like turn it on, and all of a sudden I made money coming in. I paid all the bills and got out of the debt. And
see
stuff
that
like that.
In a way, that's like me. There's one thing about being an entertainer or being an artist, and I mean, you've told me this in the past, and I'll bring it up now. But sometimes it's fun to not know where the next meal is going to come from.
Yeah, it's the journey.
And it's like there have been times when I've had $4 in my pocket, and I've walked into a bar, and the next thing you know, I've got $150 in my pocket because I just turn on that hustle, and it just. Next thing you know, people are throwing 20s and 50s at me, and it's great. It's a really cool feeling.
But it's not the successes, it's the journey. That's what I get. I get a kick out of the journey, the struggle, the build-up. Because I couldn't care less if I did a piece, worked on it for months. I've done animated films, stop motion.
I was going to ask you that, too, if you've ever done films as well, or if it was just like books and illustration.
Well, I went to the School of Visual Arts down Manhattan, and I was scouted out to be one of the youngest interns for Walt Disney. They were going to take me 2 years earlier than what they would usually normally do. So they watched me, and they watched me. They liked my animation. I was able to handle. It comes to your size. I was big at the time, so basically, if you draw, your style kind of emulates your drawing. Your style emulates your physical or persona, so to speak. So I was big, and I was a big guy back then. I was able to do big things. I can make the big things move subtly. So they saw that. And they're watching my videos. We had a Lion Lamb video machine in which you show your animation instantly. You draw on paper, and you're drawing 24 images per second. So you do these cycles and stuff. I was pretty fast with the animation drawing, but I could turn out a couple of minutes of things in a day, which is unheard of. But it was just, you like something and you go and you just did it. You didn't think. You lock yourself in a room, and that's basically, you locked yourself in a room and you just drew pictures, which is like heaven. But then again, you get tired of that too. You could be a slave ship. So anyhow, I went to the Disney guys came. Then they did a review on me, and they go, "Well, nope, we're rejecting you." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "You said you weren't gonna." They wanted me to shave I had a beard and a mustache. And they wanted me to shave the beard and mustache. I go, "Why? What does that got to do anything?" They want to physically change you. So that was strike one. Strike two was they didn't pay you well. I found out I was making more at my father's business, pumping gas. I was making more money pumping gas than I would be in my so-called dream job, what I'm going to school for. That was another thing. It's like they paid you $200 a week, and but they gave you housing and meals and stuff, but you were property of Walt Disney Studios. You weren't your own person. Then the thing was, they said threw out too much paper, because if I was drawing animation, you have to look through the paper and trace kind of thing through a light table. And if I saw there was special paper, and if it had if I saw like a vein of the tree bark slightly when you drew on it, it bothered me, and I didn't use that piece of paper because I wanted my animation to be clean on the white paper. It'd be nice to use copy paper off of a machine, but this paper had it was for testing purposes only. It's a cheap paper, but it's not cheap. But it was like it was an unusual paper, almost like that kid school paper, that cream colored or gray colored paper that I used to use for math with the pencil. It was like that, but with had these little registering pegs on them, and you drew on a plate that would have a light under it, and you'd swirl it around with Acme or Oxbury pegs on it. I knew how to use the cameras and stuff like that, so that was not a big issue. I knew all the cameras. I can synchronize the sound and stuff like that, and breakdowns from a mag stripe tape, which is the magnetic tape for like a tape recorder, the old tape recorders, and I can convert that into digital frames by using synchronizers, little things. We didn't have computers back then. Now the computer does everything, but we did that by hand back then. But it's just one of those things. So I had good knowledge of stuff. I had the speed, I had the abilities, but I didn't like the boss, the person that was in it. It was like God picking you out and then choosing God telling you, "Hey, we like that you're happy, but now we're going to give you web feet, and we're going to cross your eyes and stuff like that." But I don't want that. Well, that's how you get into heaven. I don't want that, But that's what they did to me, and I used up too much paper. And the stupidest thing I've ever heard was I don't utilize pencils to their fullest extent. And you wonder, what the hell does that mean? And I just say, what do you do with a pencil that when the pencil gets so little you can't use it anymore? Now we use these special Blackwing pencils. They're like $2 each. It's not like you're going to kill the world, but they were expensive back then. They weren't 10-cent pencils, but they were nice, very soft lead pencils and they were dark. So you can, they're good for tracing and stuff. But they gave me these pencils, and they would wear out really fast. You're always sharpening them, and they'd wear down to nothing, like an inch or a half inch. So I'd throw it out. I go, "Oh, this is done. Give me another one." You bought these pencils by the box. I must have 3 or 4 boxes on me. Anyhow, they watched me use the pencils, and they one question, I go, "What the hell are you talking about? I don't use the pencil to fullest. I got everything I can out of the pencil." And he goes, "Well, you need a pencil extender." Well, you didn't provide me one. I was uninformed they even made something.
What the hell is a pencil extender?
It's actually a little thing that would attach to this little pencil stub. First of all, on the Blackwing pencils, they had a square eraser. You couldn't use these things, so I didn't think about it. You had to break off the eraser thing and put this little attachment on it. It was a wooden attachment or some kind of material with a metal ferrule that would grab the pencil. Now it would make the pencil uncomfortable for me, because they had the metal ferrule would be resting against the side of your fingers, and
I can see blisters off of that.
And it would just make it's uncomfortable. And I didn't like using the pencil holder because it wasn't like the pencil.
See, the most that I ever did as far as using my pencil to its fullest extent, sometimes I would just take the eraser off and sharpen both ends, so you had a point on each side.
Oh, I wouldn't go for that. You're being impaled. But here, the killer was. I said, I never heard of a pencil extender. You're gonna
do? Throw it in the ground and put water on it. Hope it grows more.
No, they go this, but their solution. I go like this. How the hell you? What do you didn't tell me about this? They've got the square eraser. It's got this. I had a break. You told me all these things. That what if 3 a.m. I don't have a pencil extender and I got a deadline? What do I do then? He goes, well, then you go out to like a 24-hour restaurant, like a Burger King or something, and you get the straws for a shake. And then you put that, it'll fit over the pencil. And I go, you got to be kidding me. You got to effing kidding me. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. So now I got to leave my house, go get a straw that would actually, oops, pardon. I would get I have to get a straw that would fit over that. And I go, and I have to find a Burger King. I have to get in my car and drive somewhere. I go, this is the stupidest thing. I get fed up.
I want everyone listening right now to call Michael's and see if they sell pencil extenders.
They do.
They do.
They do have them.
I'm going to go to Michael's now and I'm going to specifically look for a pencil extender.
They have them. In the drawing pencil, you will find them.
Wow.
But all just something you don't know about. You know, it's like...
I've never heard of that.
But I blew my chance of being that. But you know what? I look at my friends. I still kept with friends in college that went to Disney. They all did the gamut. They had great careers. But now they're, for the most part, they're all sitting there. On Christmas Eve, I saw a couple of years ago, some of the poor guys sitting at the bar, all together. Where's your families? There are no families. They just sat and drew pictures.
Because they've sold themselves to Disney.
They sat out and they sat for, there are people that had their relationships with the main people I knew and I admired. They wanted to draw. That was their dream. They wanted to draw for Disney. They had their dream, their goals. And these are people from Russia and stuff like that. That was their goal. They lived in that over there. And that was part of this socialist system there. Mm-hmm. So that was acceptable to them. But the American people didn't deal with that. You couldn't, I'm sure there were people that did settle down for that. But I mean, they're just not to question anything, but it just wasn't for me. But I see them sitting there now alone. Or I don't know their story, but they look alone from my point of view. I'm lucky to have a family, have good friends. I make my art. I mean, yes, I have to support myself every day with a regular job and stuff, but I can always turn that off and make art. I can turn it on and turn it off as I see fit. And to me, that's the best thing in the world. That's what when the end of life comes and you got to sit there and talk to St. Peter and stuff like that, and, and he goes, do you think your life is a success? Yeah. He goes, I did what I wanted to do, as a couple of friends have done. I've had I got a call from a friend of mine. I was sitting there on Facebook at 3 o'clock in the morning many years ago. A good friend of mine, Gerald Harrington. He was on Facebook. He was an agent for the Clash. And I remember him leaving barefoot. We all laughed at him leaving, and kids being a multi-millionaire, married the guy from the Warner Brothers' daughter, Jankowitz, had a nice family, multi-million-dollar mansions, yachts, exotic cars, everything you name it, he had it. He was on Facebook one night, and he goes, and here I am scrounging around and stuff like that, and he says, hey, how you doing? He goes, I kind of envy you. And I go, the hell are you talking about? You envy me? He goes, you stuck with it. And he goes, what do you mean by that? I go, you got millions and stuff. You're rolling in it and stuff like that. And he goes, yeah, but you stuck with it. You stuck with your dream. You stuck with your art since the beginning. And he goes, yeah, I can see it. He goes, I missed that. I sold, he sold out. And and that gave me a really, it was very enlightening, that was enlightening. It really was a bright spot in life. The poor guy died. He passed away a couple of weeks later and stuff. He had a heart attack and stuff. Found him on his bathroom floor kind of thing. And it's just like, all the money in the world didn't help him out. He wasn't 100% happy. He didn't do his thing. And I just find out, and it just became my motto and stuff. When you look through the years and see what you could have been, what you might have been if you had more time. That's the quote, Supertramp, The Long Way Home. And that's what it's all about. You can look back and go, I may not have been a success in someone else's eyes, but to me, I did it. I lived it. I did it. I tried, and I'm as far as I'm concerned, I'm a success. I enjoy what I'm doing. I can, I never close any doors. I can just go back and do anything. Who knows? Maybe I have another TV show or two on coming up. I never shut the doors. And just be there, be a part of the art, be a part of life, and things happen. It falls into place, Yeah, I can get hit by a bus, but again, you have to look out and see what's down the road, That's all part of life. You just got to be aware of everything going on. But the key thing is, I was getting to St. Peter's, the gates of heaven kind of thing before, and before I found, segued into Gerald, it's, you look back and you did it. I may not have been a success, but in the eyes of many people, but I've done it. I've done far more than, I've had little tastes of things. My problem is carrying something through, but I still was able to get up there. I did the journey. Yes, I got the TV show. Yeah, I got this. I got, and I've been on, several TV shows. ESPN was with the bricks too. That was from being in one place, and then I got a call. Hey, you want to be on? Hey, sure. And there I am doing, I was on Sports Center and ESPN. Before each basketball game, I did the Pyramid of Success with John Wooden. So that was like a reprieve from the HGTV debacle. Huh. So I look really tough. I looked like Vulcan in the depths of the volcano, hammering bricks out with the sparks and stuff like that. And meanwhile, I'm doing I'm like a little ballet guy in there's a mythical kitty, acting goofy and stuff. And that was embarrassing, but it was fun. It was fun nonetheless. And you got a little bit of humility, and that's what it takes. You got to be humble. You got to accept things. You got to try things. But again, nobody's. I like to be part of the Arts Council, part of the arts. I always been part of organizations and stuff like that, and I guess I was blessed with a big mouth, and I was able to, make things happen, so that's my strength. I'm an artist who's supposed to be quiet, but I have a big mouth. I can talk for hours.
Oh, I know. And trust me, I mentioned, you didn't hear it earlier, but I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast that you and my friend Greg Dwyer, to me, you're like human ASMR. I'm going to wrap up this podcast, but before I do, is there any advice that you can give any up-and-coming artists or people who are probably trying to figure out their niche? What kind of advice would you give?
Well, number one advice is make something that people like. If you want to make money or make a sale, make something people like. Don't make, I'm going to do Darth Vader in his underwear because, make Darth Vader in his underwear or something. That'll go down the line. But in the meantime, paint your little kitty cats and stuff. Get something to buy your art supplies. Do it that way. Start somewhere. But make your art, get it out there. Have people see it, because the stuff doesn't happen. It's everything flows. If you're not there, they say success, half of success is showing up. If you don't show up, nothing's going to happen. That's it. You sit home, the world passes you by. If you be a part of a gallery, be a part of an arts organization, go to the library, do classes and stuff. Nothing is going to happen to you unless you're seen and people know about you. You're not going to do anything off of Facebook or Instagram and something like that. You're still just a digital image. But until people see you and experience you in person doing these things, you're just another digital file, so to speak. You got to be out there. You got to live.
Just another brick in the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what it comes down to. Yeah. But you got to be seen. You got to be heard. Horton Hears a Who. All these things, you don't pay attention. There's a big lesson behind everything. All these little children's books and little things you think about. There's some reality there. There's some truth there. It's like, wow, really? Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, Rich, thank you seriously for being on. We have gone well over an hour, and I think it's one of the most insightful hours I have ever had on this podcast. So I'm definitely going to have you back on again, because there's other things that I would like to talk about. And I'm looking forward to having you back. Guys, this was a really good podcast as far as I'm concerned. I'm satisfied with it. So thank you guys for listening. I'm Chris Lengyel with Chris Lengyel Magic. This is the Magician with a Microphone podcast. I will talk to you guys later.